structured is 7 to 9 minutes for a speech and 2 to 3 minutes at the end for a Q&A. The title is Restructure the Toastmasters Meeting, Kimberly.
Over the years, Toastmasters International has reviewed and revamped parts of their program to better suit the needs of their members. The Distinguished Toastmaster program of 20 years ago is not the Distinguished Toastmaster program of today. That's because 20 years ago, the world was different. The workforce was different, our approach to work was different. And this program took more time, and the Toastmasters International company noticed that and made changes. I propose that it's time to do the same thing with the Toastmaster Club meeting program. I propose that we revamp the program to better suit the needs of our members, to give us more time for speeches, more time for table topics, and more time for evaluations. I propose that we do this by eliminating a number of the functionary roles, and then revamp 2 other roles. The first role that I propose that we eliminate is the Wordmaster Grammarian role. It depends on what your club calls the role, but they serve the same function. First, the Wordmaster gives a word of the day. This is to help our members improve the vocabulary. While it's a noble cause, many members do not use the word of the day during any of their speaking opportunities. Is it adding value to the club when club members are not using it? If not, then let's eliminate it. The other part of that role is grammarian. This is to help us all be aware of grammatical errors when we speak. But the problem is, our language is fluid. And the grammar rules of 20 years ago are becoming archaic compared to how we're using our language today. So is it right that we take a part of our meeting to define and adhere to archaic language rules that don't work today? We also have a number of non-native English-speaking members in our Toastmaster clubs. These people not only have to learn English, have to speak it properly, but then we expect them to come to Toastmasters and know the rules well enough to be able to report on how well us native speakers use these rules. I don't think it's right, I don't think it adds value, and I think it's a portion of the meeting that needs to be eliminated. Another part of the meeting is the counter role. It's important to know of crutch words. It's important to be aware of crutch words and to eliminate them from your speaking patterns. However, is it important enough to have a separate person come up here, give a report, explain the roles, and then give a report at the end of the meeting? No. That can be handled later. That'll be handled separately, and I'll give an idea later how to handle this. The last role that I think that needs to be eliminated is the general evaluator role. The general evaluator has 3 functions. 1, to introduce the evaluators. 2, to introduce the functionaries for their reports at the end of the meeting. And 3, give an overview of the meeting. I propose that one of the revamped roles that we address the introduction of the evaluators. If we don't have functionaries, we don't have to have introduction of functionaries and the functionary reports at the end of the meeting. The last part of the general evaluator role is the overview of the meeting. And again, I propose that we eliminate this role entirely because the way meetings work then are different from the way we work now. We don't have the face-to-face meetings like we did then. And then it could be 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 50 years ago. So many of our business meetings nowadays are being held over the internet. We're having phone conversations. We're not having the formal meetings like we have here at Toastmasters. Is it worth taking valuable time away from speakers, away from table topics, and away from evaluations to have codified, enforce meeting functionality rules? I think that's not a very valuable use of our time. And I think by eliminating the general evaluator role and some of the adherence to these rules, it would give us more time to do what's truly important and to meet the needs of our members, which is to give them more time for speeches, more time for table topics, and more time for evaluations. Now, 2 roles I think need to be revamped. And the first role to revamp is the timer role. Yes, it's important to have the timing requirements, and I want to keep that. But as our world becomes more casual, and as people's jobs and their relationships with the world and how we all interact important to have such strict timing requirements that we have in place now? I propose that we eliminate the minimum time requirement. We have so many people coming to Toastmasters who are scared to walk in the door, let alone stand up in front of a room full of people and give a speech. Let's make it easier for our people to come here and get comfortable. And by eliminating a minimum time requirement, that eliminates yet another hurdle that they have to try to meet when we want them to come here and just get comfortable speaking. I think it's also important to loosen the maximum time requirements. We want to get people speaking. Some people will speak longer than their time requirements. Do we want to put that hurdle of possibly being embarrassed because they spoke over their time requirements and got clapped down? That might possibly chase members away. We want people to come here. We want people to get comfortable. And if we have such strict requirements on our timing, it might be detrimental to the people who need Toastmasters the most. The other role to revamp is the Toastmaster role. I see the Toastmaster role in this revised club program as the off-screen MC. And we have plenty of examples of this role with our late night talk show programs. Ed McMahon introduced Johnny Carson. We didn't really see Ed McMahon, we saw Johnny Carson. And the focus of the whole night was Johnny and his guests. And the same thing goes for David Letterman, Jimmy Kimmel, Jay Leno. It's not the announcer that's the important person. It's the guest. It's the host. So let's put the Toastmaster in a chair off to the side. Let the Toastmaster be the off-screen guidance for the meeting. From the chair, the Toastmaster can say what's going on next. Our first speaker is. From the chair, the Toastmaster can explain the crutch words and how we want to eliminate crutch words, and at the end of the meeting, give a quick count of who used crutch words. What's important is the awareness of it, not the reporting of it. I think it is important to eliminate, by moving the Toastmaster to an off-screen role, it eliminates some of the other parts of the meeting that are archaic. The handshake and having the handshake take place in the center of the room. Is that truly relevant to the way we do business now? No, it's not. In an international meeting over the internet, you're not going to have a formal handshake and a change of control. So why have the rules for then when our world is different? Our workforce they're different. The generations as they come up, they're different. Let's adapt Toastmasters to what the world is becoming and make it more relevant. It is important that as Toastmasters we have people speaking, and we have people answering table topics, and we have people giving valuable verbal feedback in the form of evaluation. It is not important to have some of the structure that we have in place currently. And I ask that you support this proposal to revamp our club meetings and propose that with Toastmasters International. I'll now open the floor for questions. Shane.
Is it best to institute these changes at the club level, at the district level, area level, region level, or just internationally?
The question is it best to institute these changes at the club level? The program that we have currently is the Toastmaster Club program. It is in the back of all of your manuals. So this change would have to come from Toastmasters International and have it be across the board to all clubs across the world. James.
In your redesigned meeting, who provides feedback to the leaders? In the current meeting, the GE provides feedback not only to the evaluators, but to the leaders themselves. So as we're on the issue program, so who provides feedback to the leaders in your redesigned meeting?
The question is who in the new structure, who provides feedback to the leaders? I don't think that's valuable information to the way the world is becoming, so I'm proposing that we eliminate that aspect of it, that layer of it, and then we focus on people giving speeches and have more speakers at a meeting, have more people answering table topics at a meeting, and more people giving evaluations. Yes, sir, the new member in the middle.
You were close to getting rid of some of the minor roles, timer, things like that, all counted, but all new members, that's where we started. So you take a new member and automatically put them in front, answering table topics and giving speeches without the familiarity of, hey, let's start you at this timer, let us get you familiar with that timer first. So the minor position's gone, where would you start the new members?
Well, the point is that we start our new members in the minor we have in the past. But we also start our brand new members with table topics. And we want our new members to give a speech within the first month of membership. Get them in, get them speaking, get them going. So we're not eliminating the first role because the first role in our club is truly table topics. Now there was a question in the back. Yes, ma'am.
How would you get this petition started at the national level? I mean, how do you communicate at the national level that you want to change?
It is as simple as getting this proposal presented to the international level. It is as simple as calling up Toastmasters International and talking to the club development, the club membership, I forget the department, but talking to that department and proposing making a change. Other questions? Yes, sir.
You want to eliminate roles, is there any roles that you want to add? Something completely new that is more relevant today?
No, I don't see the need to add other roles. I think the roles as proposed and with and some of the revisions will give us more time to have more speeches in a night, more table topics at a night, and then more evaluations at a night, which I think are the core pieces of Toastmasters. And I think that's why people come to Toastmasters. People don't come to Toastmasters to be an ah counter. They come to speak. Are there any other questions? Yes, sir, at the back?
Sure. In your research, did you encounter any other proposals similar to what you're proposing? And if so, how did Toastmasters International respond?
I don't know of any other proposals. This is just what, from my 20 years of observation of what's relevant to today's members. Well, I see our time for questions are up. I encourage you to think about the Toastmaster Club meeting program and how we put it together and ways to improve it and to support me with these changes that I'm proposing to Toastmasters International.